You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
This is Zoom the TBT of Charge and Hayner. As always, we are here trying to talk TBT. My co-host Charge is coming to you from, are you in Charlotte, my man? Is that where you're at?
No, I'm actually down in Orlando, the beautiful, somewhat beautiful Sheraton Lake Buena Vista. So down in Orlando.
There we go. Now, also, I am currently at our former sponsors. I am at the Dunk Camp in scenic Utah right now. So we're talking basketball from a basketball camp. We have two wonderful guests today. I'd like to introduce them real quick. We have Tim Scarborough, former D1 star at Liberty, and also currently an analyst for TBT and ESPN and Stadium. Scar, how you doing tonight?
Man, I am good. It's my favorite time of year. You know, covering college basketball is great. I love it. I've been doing it for 20 years. But now that TBT has kind of taken over my life, this is a great time of year, man. I'm happy to be involved in it for another year.
Absolutely. And also we have Matt Martucci, the voice of St. Joe's in Philadelphia, and also play-by-play and at ESPN and TBT. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Great to be with everybody. 6 years doing this. Can't wait to get started. Pair of regions for Scar and I. We're looking forward to being in Albuquerque and Charleston. So let's talk some TBT, fellas.
Let's get some TBT. And we all know Charge was wonderful Santa Claus beer. We're going to get right into this. Okay, so our first question, we're going to have a round of buy or sell. And gentlemen, we'll be scoring, so feel free to defend your choice as we go through. Our first question, are we buying or selling the Rucker Park region will live up to the billing? Scar, let's start with you. Buy or sell Rucker Park, living up. Go.
Oh, so you want me to start off on a negative already, right? Okay.
Let's just go straight to the hating.
I'm absolutely selling this, and here's why. I'm thinking of this as from a player's perspective right now. If I was a player and I'm playing for $1 million, I wouldn't want to be playing outside. It's just a different venue. Basketball outside is a different game. Now, if you're asking me, are the teams going to be entertaining? Is it going to be cool to be at Rucker Park in New York City in the middle of the summer? Heck yeah, I'd love to be there. But if I'm a player, I got to sell this. That is almost not fair to have me try to win my way to Dayton on the hard top. So, yeah, I'm selling.
Fair enough. Matt, buy or sell, Rucker Park and TBT will live up to the billing.
I'm going to buy it simply for the pageantry and the history of Rucker Park. I'm not going to look at it so much from the player's perspective in that I just think it's cool to play in a place that ended up showcasing guys like the GOAT, Earl Manigault, with that 50-inch vertical leap. You're at dunk camp. Earl Manigault could jump up and grab quarters off the top of the backboard. Guys like Pee Wee Kirkland, whose legends were born there. I feel like anybody that doesn't know anything about Rucker Park, they're always like, oh, well, Kevin Durant played there. This NBA player played there. Yeah, but you know what? There were a lot of guys before those guys. So the history and everything that comes with playing at Rucker Park, it's a hard buy, I think, for me. I get it. Weather-wise, it's going to be a problem. They have some rain dates built in, but, it gets to be a little more windy. Some of the conditions are affected. Anybody that's ever played in an outdoor summer league, sometimes it's a little bit harder to shoot the three. Certain things happen. I remember a few years back, they played that college game on an aircraft carrier and watching guys try and shoot threes. They basically stopped shooting threes. I mean, we're not an aircraft carrier here, but the elements outdoors can affect you a little bit, but I'm still going to buy it.
Gonna buy. I love it. Okay, Charge, you are the tiebreaker. My hometown of New York gets Rucker Park. Are you buying or selling? It'll live up to the billing.
No, I'm with Scar in this one. I'm selling on Rucker Park. And part of it is what Matt talked about. I think the hype and the buzz has been so high around Rucker Park. Once again, agree, the teams that are going to play there, it's going to be really special for them. But holistically for TBT, I don't know how that's going to translate to a fan of the game. It's going to be fairly limited who can get into Rucker. I don't know if it's going to come across good on TV. I don't know if, the team's not very recognizable to, most basketball fans. There's going to be a couple superstars there. But I just don't know how it's going to translate to a more global TBT audience. And the hype is there now, but I just don't think it's going to make it through 3 or 4 days of coverage and really just grasp people and pull them into this event unless they do something really wild with the NBA Players Association or something.
Yeah,
man, you two are fun at parties.
Yeah,
indoor parties.
That's all, guys.
not outdoor parties.
We got a couple haters now. We got a couple haters.
It's just been blown up so big right now. I don't know how it comes up to those standards unless they're pick up their sleeves.
Expectations matter. Okay, so we're selling this. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next question. So this tournament, TBT, has a larger number than average of alumni teams. We have about half the teams approximately are alumni, which I think is pretty close to a record. So first is a two-part question: buying or selling? Will TBT 2022, will a champion be an alumni team? And if not, or even if they are, who is your champion? We're going to start with Charge on this one. So Charge, TBT 22, alumni champion, buy or sell?
Is Boeheim's Army the alumni team?
Oh, up for debate.
Yeah, mental toughness with 4 Akron guys is almost as alumni as Boeheim, but I love the Boeheim's team this year, to be frank, but I'm selling. I don't think when you're trying to repeat, you got a big X on your back, so I don't see Boeheim's repeating, even though they tooled up pretty good. I love what West Virginia did, Adam Caleb Weston, a couple other guys. I love what Red Scare's doing, some really strong alumni teams, but when you start to look at the Florida TNTs of the world, the Heartfires of the world, the Gutter Cat Gangs are going to be strong as ever. And as we know in TBT, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are going to be some of these high-profile non-alumni teams with some nice backing. We'll add players right before the deadline, and so I think it's a little too many targets on their back. But I think one of these teams, and especially Florida TNT, is going to rise to the occasion.
So it's like you're selling the alumni. You're looking at TNT as the champion. Matt,
they're my guys.
Fair enough. Matt, so buy or selling, champs and alumni team?
Hard sell. Simply
sell.
because just to play off what Charge was saying, what the hell is an alumni team in this thing anymore? We need Adrian Wojnarowski or somebody, to the equivalent of Woj now for the TBT edition. Like, who ended up jumping ship from which particular team? Hell, Tyrese Rice played for Boeheim's Army last year and was one of the biggest reasons. And I'm a Cuse alum. Like, and I love Syracuse. I love Boeheim's Army, but Tyrese Rice was a huge reason why they ended up winning that title a year ago. He's not on their roster. I think that in terms of the guy who is their closer this year, yeah, you have your DJ Kennedys, you have your DeAndre Canes, you added D-Boss. I think they have a lot of talent, but I'm going to go sell on that it is an alumni team winning. I think there is an extra bit of motivation for teams like Florida TNT, for Heartfire. I'm actually going to pick Heartfire because of what they went through a year ago with watching Kiefer Sykes knock down that shot and just having the air completely go out of the balloon in Dayton. So I'll take Heartfire and hard sell on the alumni team winning.
And to clarify what you just said, Heartfire is sort of a combination of Team 23 and Heartfire. Yep. So when he talks about what Heartfire did, there's also the combination of those two very strong programs in this unholy hybrid of ballers. Scar, buy or sell, TBT champion, alumni team. What are you thinking?
I think we got to make it unanimous because it's interesting that we say it's probably not going to be an alumni team because guess what, fellas? The last 3 winners have been alumni teams. Ohio State, Marquette, and last year Syracuse. So some could argue that Syracuse had a little too many non-guys wearing orange, but it is what it is. They represented Boeheim quite literally. So, but I'm going to have to sell it because, as you guys mentioned, there are just some really good teams. I mean, Jimmer's playing again with the money team. Tooch mentioned Heartfire. I love TNT. I've helped them get some guys, some Liberty guys, Scotty James and Andrew Smith. So, I mean, I feel like TNT was probably the most talented team. Them in 23 last year, TNT blew out the Wichita team. Now, I mentioned the Wichita team. If there was going to be a team that was an alumni team, I feel like that Wichita team has gotten a little bit better. I feel like the Team Arkansas, as a 2 seed, they're 2 and 3 in TBT. And let's be honest, they have been disappointing over the years. The rumor is Sonny Weems is going to play this year. They got Dusty Hannas. They certainly have Jalen Barford, who really didn't look like himself. He didn't look like the same Barford that we saw a couple of years prior in Memphis, where he was just probably the best TBT guy in the game that year.
First team all tournament, yeah.
Having said that, the Marquette team, who has won it, as I just mentioned, they have Darius Johnson Odom back. He was a really big missing piece last year. I think they're good enough to win it again. But if you're saying the field versus any alumni team, I'm taking the field.
Yeah, Deontay Burton too. They're going to be tough.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. So I guess we're keeping this very consistent of what people are thinking, because a lot of people are definitely sharing the same ideas. I definitely think you guys got the right teams. TNT. We didn't even discuss Eberline, but they're also a non-alumni team.
Challenge ALS.
The money team. There's a lot of Challenge ALS, definitely contenders. Yeah. So a lot of top contenders are non-alumni teams. It's almost like it's easier to make an alumni team be good, but tougher to get them over the top, unless, of course, you decide to follow the Syracuse method of making it a very loose association. Okay, so
by the way,
go.
By the way, Diamond Stone's playing for that Golden Eagles team.
Yeah, he is.
Which solidifies them that much more.
Oh man, big body in the middle is kind of what they were missing.
You get a legit big
charge.
You love Diamond Stone fan club right there. Hayner just going to town on.
I have friends.
When he's right and he's engaged, he's one of the best bigs in this tournament.
Yeah, imagine if they kept Caleb Wesson instead of him going to West Virginia. That could have been dangerous if he would have stuck over with Marquette.
And speaking of also, you mentioned Team Arkansas, Scar. One thing that will probably come up as we discuss this tournament is heard that secondary star, Ja'Cory, has not re-signed with Hurd. He may be taking the summer off, I've heard, but can Team Arkansas maybe say, listen, we got a plane ticket for you, and that would make them a top-tier contender. And they're already a contender, obviously, but a top-tier contender. So this cycle is a little strange. The tournament still, as always, a very strong field. We're very happy with the 64 teams. Even some good teams didn't get in, obviously. But it was sort of a striated, sort of strange application process this year. So I'm wondering, as Charge gets up to turn off the lights in whatever bodega he is in, whatever brothel he's staying in.
I saw Scar drink, and it got me thirsty for our sponsor. Zero sugar.
Pavlov's dog, right? He sees a drink, he's got to go get a drink.
With that lighting, there's two beds, but you're rolling solo. Is that a brothel? Never mind. The point.
Ring a bell and he'll salivate. How'd you like that?
Right.
Are those red lights? No, the point being is, so it's been a very strange application process. So the teams at the very bottom were fairly even in selection. In fact, the teams in 60 to 70 out were pretty much very even. The question becomes, should the field be reduced in size? Is it time to increase or decrease the field? So let's start with Tooch this time. Buy or sell, should the field be reduced?
No, I'm selling that. I'm 100% selling that. I think part of the everything that makes this tournament what it is how difficult it is just to get in. There's an exclusivity element to it, even with 64 teams, because you have teams that apply 3 and 4 and 5 times. We were talking to the Founding Fathers GM Joe Kirkendall this morning. And, it took them like 3 or 4 years before they actually got in, and they damn near beat Sideline Cancer a year ago. So I think that's part of the element of this. It's part of, the DNA of TNT, if you will, that, the part of the heart is what makes it great in terms of getting in. To paraphrase the great Jimmy Dugan from A League of Their Own, the heart is in fact what makes it great. It's what makes it fun, and it's difficult, but it's worth it once you're able to get into this thing, to create memories for some of these guys that will potentially last a lifetime, and give guys a platform that otherwise they might not necessarily have to showcase their stuff.
Totally makes sense. Okay, so Charge, I'm going to need a hater's percentage. Let's go to you next. Charge, should buy or sell, should the field be reduced in size?
I'm still selling. Not yet. I'll caveat it a little bit. Not yet. I think even though this year's been a little bit different, what I found intriguing is that, like Tooch said, the James Madison guys, this year we're getting Boise State in, we're getting Colorado State in, we're getting the Panamaniacs, and we're getting some teams that just need this opportunity to get there. So it may be a blessing in disguise for TBT to kind of have this offseason where you miss Carmen's crew, you miss House of Pain, you miss some of these people that you're normally used to getting, and you're getting some new feet in there, some new blood, and I think that's good for TBT, especially if they come out competitive like we see in some of those smaller alumni teams in recent years perform very well. So that's a good thing for TBT. I think the money thing is a real issue, and it's going to cause some problems when you start losing the likes of some of the folks we talked about. We got this new position in TBT, a chairman. And not everyone can afford a chairman on their roster. So, when you got stuff like that, at some point it's got to stay competitive. We still got to see teams being competitive and winning. And that's what gets me most nervous long term is if people just can't afford to play. The expenses are going up with affording players is a real thing. We know that. We know, the hotel, the travel, all that stuff goes hand in hand. But that does get me nervous. But I'm actually excited about the new teams in this year, especially those small alumni ones.
Totally.
I was making it rain there, guys. That's when I was throwing my hands up like that. I was making it rain.
We got this.
We're gonna need Team Little Wayne with Make It Rain. So we're gonna need to afford all this nonsense. Okay, so Scar, we'll come around
Team
to you.
Wheezy.
Buy or Team what?
Team Wheezy.
Team Wheezy.
Team Wheezy. Yeah, I like that.
Exactly. So Scar, buy or sell? Should the field be reduced? And keep in mind, your alumni team was one of the toughest cuts. So I think I know your answer.
Send him the hate mail. He sent the best two guys over to Florida TNT. So don't hate me.
Yeah, I did that before I knew there was a Flames Nation that even existed. But I will say this: there is something to reducing it in terms of quality, but it's like the corporate world says, if you're not growing, you're dying. So I would think that the second you take a step back and reduce the field for whatever reason, if it's finances, if it's quality of play, that would tell me that TBT is losing something. And I don't think it is. I think the fact that there are teams that got together, organizations that combine, we mentioned Heartfire and Team 23 getting together to form sort of a super team, but more importantly, a more affordable, cohesive group. Then you look at the fact that a lot of these alumni teams are starting to pluck people from other teams. There are teams that are looking at other guys. I think of the shooter Brandon Rozelle from VCU. VCU doesn't have a team this year, but Brandon Rozelle is playing. Scott Machado from the Iona team a few years ago played in the bubble for other teams. So, and of course, Tyrese Rice is the hired gun, for every team every year, right? And he's got a Zelle check or a Zelle text, I guess, from last year for his efforts. So I would say don't reduce the field. If anything, I would have a play-in tournament, whereas the teams, the 10, 15, 20, whatever, 16 bubble teams that didn't make it, let them play their way into it. Maybe have a jamboree somewhere like we did in Philadelphia many years ago, and maybe make those last 4 teams or the last 8 teams and have a 68-team field. But you never want to reduce the field. As long as there are teams applying and you're still saying no to teams, as we mentioned, the Flames Nation didn't get in, I think you're still good. We have a quality tournament still. As you mentioned, there's some alumni teams that aren't here. I hope they come back, the Ohio State team. I hope that VCU team decides to come back with some younger players. But at any rate, the fact that, New Mexico State's got teams in now. I love it.
Oh, I think we lost Scar for a second. It's just him.
You get points for that. Take those.
I think we do.
Take them away.
Yeah.
He go back and go from 10 to 6 and not even know.
Yeah. You get points taken away.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting for Scar to come back, I love the Jamboree idea as long as it's not TBT sanctioned. I mentioned that before. I think they got so much going on. I don't want them to have their hands in, playing the rounds and all that good stuff. Let the Beasleys of the world do it. I'm sure you can hit up some local people and decent sized cities and have some summer tournaments that lead into the TBT. But the more the merrier.
Besides, you can't ask 2 guys who broadcast games for a living if they want to do less games.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's like, okay, sorry, we don't need you in New Mexico anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You've been cut. You've been cut. 2 regions go down to 1. So we don't have the ESPN budget. I will tell you, Charge, that horn you heard was you bitching about the Jamboree and me deducting points from you. The good news for you is that
But it's the right answer. So you can buzz me all you want. It's the right answer.
I have absolutely no interest in your right answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep playing, and we're going to let the technology problem be a good thing. So what we're going to do is when Scar comes back, he is back. Good, perfect. This is how we do things now. We just keep it loose. What's up, Scar? We lost you there.
Hey,
It happens.
I hope you heard that splash. I fell right into the water. I fell off the bridge.
Oh, man, that happens. It's absolutely no big deal. So we're going to go ahead and keep this moving now. Let me go here. So we have one more of the buy and sell round. And since, Scar, we're going to let you go because actually you just left the internet for a minute. So we're going to make sure we give you the first chance. So this is a hater's dream. So let's go ahead and say it. Buy or sell, a regional host will lose in the first round.
Oh, how could you not buy that? I mean, what you're saying, if you're selling it, you're saying it's going to be chalk, right? Basically, now there are some teams that are co-hosting, like in West Virginia, the Herb, that team, and West Virginia, but they play each other hopefully in the second round, and for TBT's sake anyway, and then you guarantee one of those host teams are in the championship regional final. But yeah, I'm absolutely buying that a host team will lose in the opening rounds. I'm not saying the first game. I don't think anybody's going to lose their first game. But if anybody was going to lose it, it might be that Xavier team who we don't know a lot about. They're in Cincinnati, that a very tough region. But for the most part, do you count Cincinnati as a host team? They're a 4 seed. So if you count them, possibly.
It's a Xavier region. They're not even getting credit for Cincy and
right.
Holden.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, and look at Land of
New
Enchantment. Yeah. I mean, they're a 4 seed. So
absolutely, a host team could lose in the first round.
Okay, so you're buying and then selling it and buying it again. Is that? Are you like you're like a cryptocurrency guy in this entire call? Like pump up the NFT, get rid of the NFT, change your
Don't
mind.
talk about crypto. Don't talk about crypto.
We're not. Oh no, poor Tooch. We'll talk about that off camera. Charge, buy or sell. A regional host will lose in the first round.
I'm not even going to touch the Aftershocks this year. I'm not going to touch Heard That this year. So I'm going to totally avoid those two. But I am buying a regional host will lose, and it will be the Omaha Blue Crew on their home court. Overtime is going to come out and smack them. With the caveat, the Thompson twins better play. If they don't play, then I change my answer altogether. But assuming what's on their roster right now, they got some nice veterans around them like Marcus Thornton. I think they're going to be the ones that shock and could be one of those sleepers that we talk about later. But I'm going all in on overtime.
I'm like in charge, taking the aggressive thing. Tooch, buy or sell it. Regional host will lose in the first round.
Gentlemen, lest we not forget, you're talking to the same guy that said a West Virginia team would not get out of West Virginia last year. Lo and behold, thank you, Team 23. So we're going to buy it. We're going to buy it once again, strictly because, you have a bunch of teams that aren't even 1 seeds that are hosting regions. So I think that's a fairly easy answer. I do love that Cincinnati team, though, looking at that roster. Love the New Mexico team as well, just simply because they're coached by a guy who I loved to watch play when he was in college and over his pro career, and Kenny Thomas. So I think those teams have a lot of potential, but yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a regional host that will lose before they get out of their own region.
Definitely. I like the aggression there, Tooch. Okay, so real quick, this ends our buy-sell round. So we have a pretty even game. We got Tooch at 10, Charge at 8, and Scar at 9. So we're pretty even. Tooch, you're in the lead. You get to start off. So everybody take a second thing and pose. We did our buy-sell. Now it's a more open-ended thing. You get to sort of get in your soapbox and talk a little. Soapbox. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're going to start with a fairly easy question. We're going to keep this pretty simple. And I'm going to start with Scar because it gives him a pretty easy thing to talk about. What was the toughest team snubbed in this tournament? Scar, I think I know which team you think was the toughest snub.
Well, it's interesting because, I get tagged on Twitter all the time by the Redeem team, and they are really hustling, trying to get in, and they got snubbed. But, I got to go with my Liberty Flames getting snubbed. And you guys gave me false hope because your pre-tournament bracket had them on the bubble, but firmly in as an 8 seed. So I was counting on the fact that, hey, if I get sent to Charleston, I could broadcast a game with my alma mater, Liberty, playing on the floor. And I promised to be unbiased, right? But
which you would have broken, by the way.
Year.
You absolutely would have broken, by the way.
Yeah, I probably would have came out with my Liberty Flames hat on, but, maybe turned around like Touche has his. But yeah, I'd have to say the biggest snub for me clearly is the Liberty team.
Tooch, biggest team, toughest team snub in TBT 2022.
I mean, there's a lot of places that you could have gone here. Fort Hood, Fort Worth, Alex's Lemonade Stand. That's probably where I would go, to be honest. I don't know if they're the biggest one, but maybe they're the one that I wanted to see the most. At the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. They were going to be coached by a guy in Chaz Franklin that has some TBT ties. Led Brotherly Love. Those guys decided not to come back and play this year. So I don't know about necessarily biggest. But the one that I wanted to see was probably Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, because this event has grown into something where it's just so much more than basketball that a lot of these teams are playing for. So that's the direction where I would lean.
Totally makes sense. Charge, toughest teams snubbed in TBT.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So I've been a big fan of Alex's Lemonade Stand for the last couple of years, and I thought this was the year they snuck into the TBT, and a lot of respect for the GM over there, just really hustling, doing the right thing. So hopefully 2023 is going to be in. But I got to stick with the Fort Worth Funk, and they got bounced because they weren't alumni enough. And I totally get some of the rationale behind what alumni enough means. But in this day and age, I mean, Lee Nalen, the GM over there, has done every single thing possible to engage the community, charity events in the community, promote TBT. Great representation of the university, even though they only had 2 alumni this year. So I get it, they weren't an alumni team, but how about a little warning from TBT, like, hey, you're not really getting alumni enough. If this don't get turned around, you're going to get bounced. But the talent there and what they've done for TBT holistically has been just, bar none, the most effort and most well-rounded efforts out there.
Totally.
What if they get Kurt Thomas to coach? The man led the nation in scoring and rebounding in the same year, if I remember right.
And he very well may not. Who knows? No promises at all. Okay, so we're going to keep this moving. I think we're going to go, since Tutu are talking, let's start with you. What is the best 1 seed?
Ooh, the best 1 seed.
You think about it. Charge, what's the best 1 seed?
No, hands down, it's TNT. I don't believe there's another team on paper who is more talented than Florida TNT. They made that run to the Final Four last year. They made some good moves this year, getting Blakeney and Rob Gray, which is only going to make them better. They got those great Liberty Flames guys on their team as role players. Picked up, I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the 18,000
Scotty James
was on Ace League. So Ace League had a big roster of free agents available once they got snubbed, which didn't get talked about. So I think they just do a good job. I mean, loading up on those guards, which really have been strong in the TBT. People who can make plays, and some great role players like Scotty James and Andrew Smith are going to help them go deep once again. But I think just the addition of those two just makes them the deepest roster bar none across the board.
Scar, you ready for this question? What do you think the best 1 seed is?
Yeah, I'd have to go with TNT, but I really do like that Gutter Cat gang, the retooled Team Hines team. They picked up Tyrese Rice, but even with that addition, I think that TNT team, who was really a Tyrese Rice steal from getting to the final game last year, and you think about that. The guard play that they already had, and now you add Rob Gray to it. And as Charge was saying, they have the size, they have the athleticism, they certainly have the shooting, and they have the resiliency. Now we know that teams that have gotten far, the next year they kind of overlook the fact that it's hard to get back to where you were, and eventually they lose earlier than they did the prior year. So you have to guard against some of that, looking past teams in the early rounds. But you think about how Everline Drive had that group on the ropes, up 15 last year. After Everline Drive had played one of the most perfect games in the history of TBT the game before, where they shot 60% from 3 for the game and scored over 100 points. And then they were up that much on TNT, and all of a sudden TNT just woke up and came back and won that game in the Elam Indy scenario. So they're battle tested, they're deep, well coached. I got to say that's the most talented, number one, and the most likely to win this whole thing to me.
Yeah, Tooch, what do you got?
You're both wrong, and here's why. Team 23 Fire, known as Heart Fire. Look at what these guys did with their roster. They brought back basically everybody. The only player they ended up losing was Eric Griffin, who elected to play elsewhere this year. Marcus Hall, Friday Beers with AJ Mahar and those guys. Mm-hmm. Marcus Hall, a guy who's been to the title game a couple times, hasn't quite gotten over the hump. Raphael Putney, the human Swiss Army knife. They added Ryan Boatwright, who won a national title at UConn. They added a 5-year NBA vet in DeAndre Liggins. They kept Daniel Ochefu. And quite possibly the best acquisition that they had, it wasn't necessarily a pickup, but he moved over from Heartfire to coach this, stayed with Heartfire, but they moved the Team 23 over, and he's coaching all new guys, LaFonso Ellis. I mean, is there a better guy than a multi-year NBA vet and a guy who also played in the McDonald's All-America game in Albuquerque to coach a team that's the one seed in Albuquerque?
That's a deep cut. And also, he was also,
Heartfire, best roster.
Okay, fair enough.
Best roster.
One thing that's lost in this whole discussion about best one seed, too, is the best one seed also got a co-1 seed in sideline cancer. That is the weirdest seeding thing of this entire tournament. The best team in the whole thing is TNT. It's quite possible the second best team in this whole thing is sideline. That literally, and you also mentioned obviously Heartfire 23. Those three might be the top 3 teams in this whole event. 2 of them literally are in the same region, which is insanity. Just insanity. Okay, and that kind of leads us really nicely into our next question, which is, so we talk about the different regions being different levels of strength and things. So you have to start to wonder which region is the toughest or deepest. And you pick either one, because toughest may not equal deepest. Sometimes you have a strong 8-team region that isn't as high end, or you might have a top 2 or 3 teams that are killers, but it doesn't have the depth. So I'll let you go either direction and talk about what you want. But which region is the toughest and or deepest? Charge, let's start with you. It's your home court. Which region is the toughest and or deepest?
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of take your grace and kind of go with the toughest. Not necessarily all the best teams are there, but I have no idea what's going to happen at Rucker. I mean, it is going to be a battle royale. You've obviously got Marcus Smart's team, YGC, leading the charge with that 1 seed, but anyone 1 through 8 can come in there and be a stopper, whether it's Americana for autism, whatever they changed their name to, expats, Skip to my Lou. I mean, it's crazy. HBCU's way better than they've been in the past. I'm sure Tooch loves the Big Five. Those Philly guys are going to be tough, but that is going to be a battle royale.
They're going to win a game. They're going to win their opening game.
Definitely going to win a game.
That's a tough one, too. I think it's HBCU there again. But, I mean, this one here, like I said, there's a lot of intrigue here, I think, for people who really follow it closely. Kind of going back to that first Rucker question. But I think this one here, it really is a toss-up. It is so up in the air right now because it's deep and flat through there. And can't wait to see who shakes out there. But the other one, just a quick plug, West Virginia kind of has that same vibe. And there's a lot of drama in West Virginia. So
it's going to be fun.
I hope to get down there. And I know Tooch and Scar are going to have a good time there. But a lot of the trash talk West Virginia heard, a lot of trash talk with the ETSU guys, Showtime, Auburn. I mean, it's going to be a lot of drama in West Virginia this year.
That's going to be a blast.
And you're at least 6 deep there with a lot of drama, so it's going to be fun too.
Definitely. And it's worth mentioning that we'll be live at Rucker during it. I've already got the dog sitter scheduled. Scar, toughest or deepest region? What are you thinking?
It actually is Dayton, guys, and I tell you why. The money team is there, and Jimmer's playing with them, but they're not just Jimmer for that. They've always been a talented group each year. I think this might be the year that they kind of get over the top. But you have the 2 seed in the Marquette group, which we mentioned. Darius Johnson Odom is back. You still got Elgin Cook and Dwight Bikes, 2 of the best guards to ever play in TBT, and what a combination. The old man Diener's still shooting, but he won't play as much. But, you got that team. But really, finally, Dayton gets to play on their home floor, Red Scare. They're a 3 seed. They added Scoochie Smith. Finally, I've been begging for that for 3 years.
You've been begging. Charge has been begging for longer.
Listen, The teams that win this, think about it. The teams that go far, the teams that win it. Eric Washington last year, Tyrese Rice and Sykes, Casper Ware, Randall, Jerome Randall. There's always good guards like that take you far. Scoochie Smith can hold his own with all of those guys. He may be the piece that Dayton group was missing over the years, and they get to play on their home floor the whole tournament as long as they're alive. So to me, the Dayton region is the toughest because of those top 3 teams.
Definitely. It's top heavy, but there's a lot of talent at that top heavy region. Tooch, toughest and or deepest region?
I'm going to go with Xavier because there are at least 4 teams that are in that region that have played in this thing before. You talked about Florida TNT and Sideline Cancer. What Billy Clapper has done with his roster this year, with some of his additions, with adding a guy like CJ Miles, with adding a Deontay Garrett, keeping the pieces that they've had for so long. They have such a great core with the likes of Keene and Eric Thompson and Jamel Artis and God bless him and thankfully he's back from Ukraine, Mo Creek, Remy Abel.
Big story.
I think
you even
those guys
forgot Mike Dom. You forgot Mike Dom, and
they added Mike Dom is like the 7th or 8th
just some guy. Just Mike Dom.
Yeah, we're probably going to think about. Yeah.
It's
and obviously what Terry Hughes does with TNT every year is something special. Those guys I think are primed to finally get over the hump. Keith Clanton, I mean, if you participate in TBT, you know what kind of big Keith Clanton is, but he may be the best big in basketball that nobody knows about. The guy just has amazing footwork around the basket. So I think just as a whole, there are 4 or 5 really good teams, even with that nasty Natty team. With the addition of those guys, I saw most of those guys in 2016 with St. Joe's in a game that went to the wire in Spokane, Washington, and I think those guys, in their first year as a group, they have potential to maybe win a game or 2.
Definitely. I will say, I think personally, the deepest region might be West Virginia because it's just the depth of it. But one sneaky region, which what happens a lot when the tournament is selected is a lot of teams start to see strength and run out of fear to different regions. And it ends up kind of evening out due to people self-selecting and moving regions. What ended up being sneaky good is Albuquerque is going to be a lot of fun, actually. So that's top heavy. But the thing is, even though I think all top 4 seeds win their first round games, they'll all be competitive, fun games. They're all going to be close games. And that second round, it's going to be an all-out war. You guys are so fortunate to be going to that. Tooch, I want to stay with you because you really got into that sideline thing. And this is an easy one to float you then. What is the best new player acquisition? That one should be fairly easy. I'll let you, since you were talking about, let's go there. Tooch, best new player.
I think Diamond Stone would be the obvious choice. And I think that's a good place to go for the Golden Eagles, simply because that he was essentially the missing piece. You needed like a big banger down low, somebody that could go in and get you a bucket inside and can also step out a little bit. I know Scar and I watched Diamond Stone in the Columbus bubble a couple of years ago show us his range a little bit. So I love that pickup for them, for a team that obviously has been to the top of the mountain. Maybe a guy like Diamond Stone is potentially a missing piece for them. So that's a big pickup, maybe to get back and win another title.
Scar, if you're watching what I did for the score, I think you know the quality of answer I thought he was giving. Scar, would you like to take a stab at giving a correct answer of best new player acquisition?
Well, I know you wanted Tucci to say Mike Dawn, but the answer actually is
buddy.
Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer Fredette is one of the greatest players in TBT history. He came to Atlanta a couple of years ago and was quite literally toying with everybody that was guarding him. He took a shot in the paint where he shot it 40 feet in the air, got fouled, the ball goes straight through the net. It was just another Jimmer Fredette trick shot. If you watch him on IG, you know what I'm talking about. And he does that in game scenarios. He makes that TMT team really, really good. And, obviously they have other guys. I love Tarico White. But Jimmer with that group, wow. Oh, my goodness.
George, best new player acquisition.
Yeah, no. So he's already been talked about. One guy I do want to mention, I do love Trevor Booker over at TMT because he's going to bring us a whole level of toughness. So when you start to get guys like Jimmer and Jordan Crawford, and you get Trevor, he's just mean, man. He's gonna bang hard, and but he's not my number one. Number one, Scoochie Smith. So Tim's already kind of sold everyone on the reason why, but it's really twofold. I mean, the guy's a dynamic guard, great playmaker. So I won't elaborate too much on what Tim said, but it is so big for the Dayton fan base. It is so big for the region down there in Dayton. It's just going to be a massive, massive event. He's already doing a camp down there, so he'll be doing a camp with his brother down in Dayton. So it's just huge, not only for the team but for the community and the fan base there. So best free agent, Scoochie Smith by a landslide.
Okay, so no one picks Mike Dahm. That's a really interesting thing. I was actually kind of surprised by that. I gave you some of your points back too, so I think I was being meaner than I needed to be.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I like to.
I don't need your sympathy, Hanner. All right.
Your charity.
I don't want that charity. You save that. You save that for Charleston when we're at the bar.
I'll buy you some drinks. We both could use some drinks after the last 2 years of insanity. Okay, so our last question before we determine who wins tonight in our game of 21. And we're going to go straight hater, which means I'm going to let Charge have the first say here. And it's a fairly easy one. Which high seed is in most danger of bowing out early? Charge, high seed is going to pack their bags lightly. Go.
I mean, this was a tough one because now that we have 8 regions of just 8 seeds, when you think about bowing out early, we talked a lot about those second round games. So you're going to have sideline cancer and zip them up. You're going to have ALS versus cheaters. I mean, so there's a lot of arguments you can make for who's going to go out early when it's an 8 seed. But the one I am going to put out there just for you, Tooch, Team Heartfire. I think competitive choice is going to be way better than they're getting.
I don't want to hear any more of this. I'm sorry. That's what this is for. We're done. We're gonna. We had to do it once in Charge. We're not listening to any more of this crap. I'm not. I'm just gonna let's deduct some points from him. That's awful, Charge.
Heartfire. Wow.
Charge,
That's a hot take.
Your mic's back on, Charge. You want to defend your stupid take?
When you have enchantment right behind that, you are absolutely have 2 tough back-to-back games that they're going to do. And once again,
competitive choice.
Why not?
Talking about
Why
their best player's name is Sir Dominic.
Just because they put competitive in their name doesn't mean they're going to be competitive on the floor.
Yeah, the best player in the world.
Non-competitive choice.
You get a point, Scar, just for that. That's funny.
I can't say that. We have their game. That's not nice.
Right.
No.
Now they're going to end up kicking Heartfire's ass.
I'm actually going to tag them.
That's what's going to happen.
Now, yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
I'm going to swap and hit you.
I will say this. Charge, to be fair to Charge, like I think I actually get the Charge crap. I actually like using the mute button to piss people off. Charge is fine. I will say this though, like competitive choice will be competitive. I mean, they have Sir Dom. And I think top to bottom, Alpha is really dangerous. So I think Charge isn't really disrespecting Heartfire so much as that is a difficult first game, to be honest with you. That's a tough
game. You got to look. There are 18 regions, so if you look at all those 2-3s, that's an easy answer. So let's get a little wild out there and pick something a little more aggressive.
Fair enough. That's true. Hot takes are good.
Sir Dom ended his St. Joe's season in the NIT. I still have nightmares about Sir Dom hitting a 3-pointer in the corner at Hagen Arena.
Well, back in college, that must have been quite the shot. He's starting to stroke them now, but early days, he wasn't hitting too many from there, so that must have been real painful.
Okay, Tooch, what do you think? Which seed is in most danger of bowing out early? Make a new friend. Come on.
I mean, I'm going to end up getting punched in the face in Charleston, but I'm going to say Best Virginia, simply because second round you could get hurt that. Later rounds, I don't know, Does losing in the regional final still qualify as early? Because if they end up with Buccaneers, even if they win their first 2 games, I think that Buccaneers team, after making noise a year ago, winning a couple of games, they're back, I think, that much stronger. And they added Nick Ward, who was a double-double machine a couple of years ago for Big X. He was the only guy essentially playing in a game that Scar and I did in the Columbus Bubble. So I'm going to say that Best Virginia, playing in front of the big home crowd, they may go down in the second round to herd that, and if not, they're going to lose to Buccaneers.
There you go. That's the
best Virginia team they've ever had. There's no way. No way.
Yeah, I still like his answer better than yours.
Lucha's racked up a bunch of points for stretching it all the way to the regional finals and exiting early. Come on.
Right.
Okay, Scar, your last chance.
No drinks for you in Charleston.
Oh, you only drinks Diet Cokes and sadness. All right, Scar, what do you got? Which high seed is in danger of bowing out early? There's the last chance.
To me, this is going to surprise you guys because these are the defending champions and they're playing on their home floor. But Bayham's Army could be in trouble. They don't have Sykes to bail them out. They don't have Rice to bail them out. Now they've added Dolajai and some other bigs, but I think they're lacking in the backcourt, and that can really come back to haunt you. We talked about the teams that have advanced have really great superior guard play, and they did last year. Now they still have DeAndre Kane and DJ Kennedy, but those guys are older, and it's hard to pick against them because they have gotten to the final game 5 times and won it 5 times. But Syracuse, remember, 2 years ago or 3 years ago before the bubble, they got beat in Syracuse. They didn't make it to Chicago. The brotherly love team got them. And I think that could happen again. History might repeat itself this year.
That's a deep region too. That's a deep region. It's one we didn't talk about, but your top 3 seeds there are really good. That blue collar U team is loaded.
Final 4 team last year, fellas.
Yeah,
Final 4 team.
They're solid.
And it's all the guys that pumped Buffalo on their NCAA tournament runs. Like those guys are fairly young. They're really good. They have really good guard play, and they have a really good big in Nick Perkins.
So let's get the score. We were done with our game tonight. So we have Charger 17, Tooch, late push got to 20. But Scar, you are our champ tonight. You won 21. You got to 21.
Next season. I think he won last year too.
I think he did. So we're going to give everybody a chance to actually use the soapbox. We'll let Scar as the champion go last. So Charge, let's start with you. Let's give you a chance on the soapbox. So Charge, it's your soapbox. You've got a minute. Anything about TBT you want to talk about? Your soapbox for a minute.
It's gonna be winging it. I forgot I had to prepare this 1 minute spiel, so I showed up for the wrong day. I thought yesterday we were taping yesterday, but I thought it was today. And he's texting me, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm in Orlando," and so just a train wreck. So I had to prepare a spiel, but really excited about the TBT this year. I think this event very different than last year with the 32 teams getting that automatic bid. Really kind of changed the trajectory of how teams get into the tournament, and I think for a good and positive way. Those teams can come in prepared, they can get settled in, they can recruit better, they can get sponsors, and so that really changed the game. And so just from an innovation standpoint, TBT continues to push the envelope. Love what they're doing in Rucker, although I don't think it's going to live up to the hype. I think just doing those things is what makes TBT special year in, year out. And so I'm just going to keep it brief, and that is a off-the-cuff spiel about TBT. So deduct me a point or two later. Because
good thing you're light on your feet when you're talking. I know you're not light, you're on your feet. All right, Tooch, it's your turn. You got a minute. What's on your mind about TBT? Closing thought.
The ability to get over the hump. That was what one GM told Tim Scarborough and I in our preparation on one of our first conference calls for this event. Looking at a lot of the veteran teams, your sideline cancers, your challenge ALSs, your Heartfire / Team 23s, the idea of being able to overcome past failures. That's what I'm going to be zeroed in on for basically the next 3 to 4 weeks in this event. What kind of, and I hate to use it because it's one of the team names, but what kind of mental toughness do these teams have, in terms of being able to bounce back from their past failures, from their ghosts of TBT's past, if you will. I think it's going to be the best one yet because of the depth of the field, and I can't wait for it to come. I mean, we're what, it's June 29th when we're getting this done. So we have all of about less than 3 weeks until this gets on. Less than 3 weeks until this gets underway. So I'm salivating. I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait to get to Albuquerque, and I'm so glad to be a part of this for a 6th year.
And he's not just saying he can't wait to get there because of the Breaking Bad tour he's going to go on. Okay, so our last one, Scar, you won today, so you get as long as you want. I know you like to speak, so let's get 2 minutes. Scar, what's on your mind about closing out the tournament this year?
You know, on that Breaking Bad tour, I hate to give you a little piece of blue crystal at the end. I don't know. I don't think you should take it though, too, just for the record. But I'm going to say,
go out into the van and cook your own.
Right.
It's an
I
extra $15.
No, but in all seriousness, I think I would like to see the dunk contest brought back to TBT. And listen, that's Hayner, you're at dunk camp literally right now, so you know what I'm talking about. Dunking is still, this is the 3-point era, but dunking is still one of the most exciting things, especially when you're dunking on people. And in most dunk contests, you don't get to dunk on people, but in TBT dunk contests, you do. And that to me was special. It's yet another distinct thing that makes TBT stand out from the rest of the basketball world. We talk about Elam ending and other scenarios, the blending of the FIBA rules, the NBA rules, and the NCAA rules, just a lot of different things that are innovative. And the TBT dunk contest was an innovative thing. And it might be a little selfish because me and Matt Martucci got to call the dunk contests. But I think even besides that, I think the excitement of bringing amateur dunkers, guys that do this for a living, a lot of them, I thought it brought a lot of excitement to TBT in those quarterfinal rounds.
By the way,
free Jay Wavy, free Michael Purdy,
free Michael Purdy.
Jay Wavy.
I don't know. I was there for that dunk contest, and I was not a fan. And I don't know if it was better on production on ESPN, but it was like really slow in between. It was, as a fan, it was kind of boring just sitting there and waiting for the next dunk, and then just misses, and I don't know. So I'm all for a dunk contest, but for me, the poster,
you got to put the right guys in the contest.
You didn't like DeMarcus Cousins' commentary? Cuz, what'd you think of that dunk?
I didn't listen to the commentary being in the arena, but I'm not a fan of that posterized one.
I will say this.
That's my favorite part. I love it.
If any of the GMs,
Jonesy.
You only had dunks a day attempts, so you had 90% misses to sit there and there's a miss, there's a miss, there's a miss, and then, holy cow, this dude just got wrecked, so it
You know who's a fan of the posterization? Will Coleman. He won it.
Yes.
He took his little girl to Disney World.
The bank. But
I will say
Disney World. And by the way, he's and others receiving votes for best acquisition. Will Coleman playing with the Jackson Underdogs.
Veteran helper. That's gonna help a lot. I love Will.
That's a big one.
Will's huge. Will's huge. By the way, I will say this in closing: if any team is thinking they're going to be up 20 and just wants to get the crowd hype, I know a bunch of people who can be your 11th man, come in and throw down some sick stuff to get the crowd hype at the end of the game. Just DM me. We got some people right here in Utah.
There you go.
So when you think jumping, you think Utah. On that note, Tooch, Charge, and tonight's champion, Scar. This has been 21. Gentlemen, thanks for coming by. Always a pleasure. This has been Charge and Hayner, Zoom the TBT with our champ, Scar, signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.